back to Full Send on the book of Ruth. We're in chapter 3 today. But before we dive in, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever needed help? Have you ever asked for help? I remember one time where I needed help. And the truth is, I didn't realize how much help I needed. I worked in West Virginia for a couple summers in college, and I would go around driving up and down the mountains of West Virginia trying to find houses for students to be able to work on, maybe paint or fix something minor. And one time as I was going up and down a mountain, I met a car, and this was a very, very narrow road. And so they got close to the side of the mountain where it was all rock, and I was on the side where it was a drop off. And so I got over, they got over, and then they realized as I got over, they stopped. And they said, "Hey, wait. And I stopped. And they went and he looked at the back of my truck, and they said, "You're almost off the edge of the mountain. Don't move." And they had a winch at the front of their car, and they pulled me back onto the road. See, I didn't realize how much help I needed. If I would have kept going, I could have easily slid off the side of the mountain. But they saw that I needed help, and they extended help. There are sometimes people see that we need help, and they will help. There are other times that we need to ask for help. And there's even a third situation where we could invite someone to help us so that they can grow and learn themselves. Well, this story is in between the provision stage, right? Ruth was providing for Naomi, and Boaz was providing for Ruth. And the end provision was going to be a redemption, a kinsman redeemer, someone who could purchase the family land and take it over, and someone who could also marry Ruth and continue the family line. So this is the middle chapter of help. Naomi realized that she could not provide everything for Ruth or for the property. And so she said, "My daughter, should I not seek rest for you, that it may be well with you?" Naomi wanted the best for Ruth and said, "Okay, we need help, and this is how we're going to ask for help. We are going to ask Boaz if he would marry you and redeem the land." And how they were going to do that was custom in that time. This is what the culture would have known for it to mean, but they sent Ruth into Boaz's territory, and as he was sleeping, she laid at his feet and uncovered his feet, took up the blanket. And when he woke up, she said, "Would you cover me with the corner of your blanket?" And he did. Now, we don't know the cultural context of that, right? If somebody said that to us, we're like, "Oh, that was nice. He shared his blanket." The reality is they both knew what this meant. And asking for this, Ruth was basically saying, "Will you marry me?" And Boaz, by covering her with the edge of his garment and blanket, said, "I will." This was a marriage proposal. I don't know about you, but that is not how I proposed to my wife. I proposed with flowers, with a song, on one knee, with a ring. We'll say a traditional way that we would do it here in America. But for that culture, this was what was known as a proposal. Will you cover me? Will you provide for me? And this was the provision that was made. So Boaz said yes. And then early in the morning, he sent Ruth away with a bunch of grain, of 6 measures of barley, put it on her, and she went into the city. And she showed Naomi. And she said, "I was not to come back empty-handed." We also know in this culture that here's a price that I will pay. And this 6 measures of barley showed just how serious Boaz was in wanting to marry Ruth. So this chapter is sometimes a unique chapter of a woman going to a man in that culture and asking, will you marry me? And the man saying yes. A foreigner going to a Jewish person and saying, will you marry me? And the Jewish person saying yes. Providing for the family in need, helping someone out. This is the story we get from provision to help to redemption. Looking forward to next week in Ruth 4 and how that looks for us. And so, this week, if you need help, ask for help. And someone will step in and provide what you need.